In this lecture, I'll continue with further part of module 1. Now we'll discuss about packet format. So this figure shows the format of an ARP packet. The names of the fields, when we see, they are self-explanatory. The hardware type is one field from 0 to 15 bits, total of 16 bits. So this hardware type field defines the type of the link layer protocol. Ethernet is given type 1. The next field is protocol field. The protocol type field defines the network layer protocol. IP version 4 protocol is 080016 base. The source hardware and source protocol addresses are variable length fields defining the link layer and network layer addresses of the sender. The destination hardware address and destination protocol address fields define the receiver link layer and network layer addresses. Okay, network addresses. Then this ARP packet is encapsulated directly into a data link frame. Okay, the frame needs to have a field to show that the payload belongs to ARP and not to the network layer datagram. There is an example. There is a host with IP address N1 and MAC address L1 has a packet to send to another host with IP address N2 and physical address L2, which is known to the first host. The two hosts are on the same network. So this figure is going to show ARP request and response messages. Okay, you can see here. Okay, this diagram is showing example of that particular aspect. So this figure shows the example. Is it clear? So you can see there is one system A and there is one more system B, and they want to send a packet from A to B. Okay, then you can see IP address N1 and MAC address L1 of system A has a packet to send to another host with IP address N2 and physical address L2 to system B. The two hosts are on the same network. Then how the ARP request and response messages are being used, you can see here. This, if it is Ethernet, then it is type 1. Then this 0800 also represents if it is of network layer protocol. So I have told you IP version 4 is used due to that this is 0800. Okay, then you have source hardware and source protocol addresses. They have been represented. Then that goes from A to B, the multicast frame. This is ARP request. Then you can see the second figure here, ARP reply. ARP reply. So here there was L1 N1. Here there was L1 N1, all zeros N2. But in ARP reply you can see L2 N2, L1 has been filled with the link layer address of that reply packet and N2. Okay, this is unicast frame. ARP reply is unicast frame, whereas ARP request is broadcast frame. Okay, so now we'll start with DLC services. the data link control DLC is going to deal with procedures for communication between two adjacent nodes, which is node to node communication, no matter whether the link is dedicated or broadcast. The function of data link control will include framing and flow and error control. Okay, so we are now first going to discuss the framing, or it can be said how to organize the bits that are carried by the physical layer. Okay, then later we are going to discuss about flow and error control. Framing. In a physical layer, the data transmission means moving bits in the form of a signal from source to the destination. The physical layer provides bit synchronization to ensure that the sender and receiver use the same bit durations and timing. Okay. Then on the other hand, the data link layer needs to pack bits into frames so that each frame is distinguishable from another. So whatever is our postal system practices a type of framing. How it is there is a letter written. After writing a letter, then that letter is inserted into an envelope which separates one piece of information from another. The envelope serves as a delimiter. In addition to this, each envelope defines the sender and receiver address, because that is needed in order so that the postal system is a many-to-many carrier facility. Similarly, the framing in the data link layer will separate a message from one source to destination by adding a sender address and a destination address. Then whatever is a destination address, it will define where the packet has to go. Then with the help of sender address, it is possible to have recipient acknowledge the receipt. So all the whole message could be packed in one frame, but that is not normally being done. Why? Because if a frame is very large, you can have a frame to be very large, but making flow and error control very inefficient. The concept of flow and error control will become inefficient very much if the frame is framed in a large frame. Okay, then if that message is carried in one very large frame, and if there occurs a single bit error, then there is a need to have retransmission of the whole frame. So that is why a message is divided into smaller frames. Why? Because if a error which is single bit, if it occurs, it affects only that small frame. Okay, only that small frame. Next we'll discuss about frame size. Okay, the frame size can be fixed or variable size. The frame size can be fixed or variable size. If the frame is of fixed size, then there is no need of defining the boundaries of the frames. The size itself can be used as a delimiter. The example we can give of this type of fixed size framing is ATM van, which uses frames of fixed size called cells. Then we can have variable size framing, and this is prevalent in local area networks. If it is a variable size framing, then there is a way to define the end of one frame and the beginning of next is needed. Okay, so two approaches were used for this variable size framing, so called a character oriented approach and a bit oriented approach. Next we'll discuss about character oriented framing. In case of character oriented framing, that is byte oriented framing, data to be carried are 8-bit characters and they are going to form a coding system such as ASCII. Then there will be a header in that. This header will normally carry the source and destination addresses and other control information. And the trailer is going to carry the error detection redundant bits, which are also multiples of 8 bits. Then in order to separate one frame from the next, there is a 1 byte, that is 8-bit flag, which will be added at the beginning and end of the frame. This flag will be composed of protocol dependent special characters signals the start or end of a frame. Okay, so the format is going to have a frame in a character oriented protocol. So this is the diagram showing figure a frame in a character oriented protocol. This character oriented protocol, it was popular only when the text was exchanged by the data link layers. Then the flag could be selected to be any character not used for text communication. But we can send other types of information such as graphs, audio and video. Any character that is used for the flag could also be part of the information. If this happens, the receiver, when it encounters in the middle of the data, it will going to think that it has reached the end of the frame. So this problem has to be fixed. Then they introduced a byte stuffing strategy which was added to character oriented framing. So a byte stuffing strategy was added to character oriented framing. In byte stuffing or character stuffing, there is a special byte which is added to the data section of the frame when there is a character with the same pattern as a flag. The data section is stuffed with an extra byte. This byte is usually called the escape character, in short ESC, and has a predefined bit pattern. Then this ESC character, when it is encountered by the receiver, it removes it from the data section and treats the next character as data, not as a delimiting flag. So that situation will be shown here. Okay, you can see the situation here. Stuffed, then after that unstuffed. This is extra byte, ESC is added, extra byte. Okay, it is an extra byte ESC which has been shown here, extra byte ESC. Is it clear? Okay. Then in this byte stuffing by the escape character, it will allow the presence of the flag in the data section of the frame, but it is going to create one more problem. What is that is, if the text contains one or more escape characters and if it is followed by a byte with the same pattern as the flag, then what happens? Then the receiver is going to remove the escape character but keeps the next byte, which is incorrectly interpreted as the end of the frame. Okay, end of the frame. So is it clear? End of the frame. Is it clear? End of the frame. So to solve this problem, whatever are the escape characters that are part of the text must also be marked by another escape character. If the escape character is part of the text, an extra one is added to show that the second one is part of the text. Character-oriented protocols present another problem in data communications. The universal coding system in use today, such as Unicode, have 16-bit and 32-bit characters that conflict with 8-bit characters. So we can see that the tendency is moving towards the bit-oriented protocols, which will be discussed later. Next, we'll discuss about bit-oriented framing. In bit-oriented framing, the data section of a frame is a sequence of bits to be interpreted by the upper layer as text, graphic, audio, video, and so on. In addition to header, where again there may be possibility of tailors, there is a need of a delimiter still to separate one frame from the another. Most protocols will make use of a special 8-bit pattern which is 0 1 1 1 1 1 1 0. The two as a delimiter to define the beginning and end of the frame. So this flag can create the same type of problem what we saw in character oriented protocols. We can say that if the flag pattern appears in the data, then there is a need to somehow inform the receiver that this is not the end of the frame. So by stuffing one single bit instead of one byte to prevent the pattern from looking like a flag. So how this is done is we do this by stuffing one single bit instead of one byte to prevent the pattern from looking like a flag. So this strategy is called bit stuffing. In case of bit stuffing, if a 0 and 5 consecutive ones bits are encountered, then an extra 0 is added. This stuffed bit which is extra, it is eventually removed from the data by the receiver. Then there is one important thing to note is that the extra bit is added after 1 0 followed by 5 ones regardless of the value of the next bit. So this guarantees that the flag field sequence does not adventurally appear in the frame. Okay, so this is a figure that is going to show the bit stuffing at the sender and bit removal at the receiver. Then one thing to note is that the bit stuffing at the sender and bit removal at the receiver is shown in figure. Note that even if we have a 0 after 5 ones, we still stuff a 0. This 0 will be removed by the receiver. What does this mean is that if the flag like pattern 0 1 1 1 1 1 1 0 appears in the data, then it will change to 0 1 1 1 1 1 0 1 0, that is stuffed, and it is not mistaken for a flag by the receiver. The real flag 0 1 1 1 1 1 1 0 is not stuffed by the sender and is recognized by the receiver. Okay, so this diagram is going to show this is a frame in a bit oriented protocol. And this is the bit stuffing. You can see 2 extra bits stuffed, after that unstuffed. So this is about the bit oriented framing. So in next lecture I will discuss about flow and error control. I'll stop here.